Hi everyone, Sif Alchemist here. Today, I'm going to talk about a stage, an alchemical stage that's very necessary. It is the core of alchemy, and if you don't go through it, you can't transform. You can't become who you really are. That stage is represented in tarot by a specific major arcana, and that's the death card. Death. As you can see, this card looks quite terrifying. It looks scary. A lot of people, a lot of tarot readers, a lot of people during their readings, when they get the death card, they get scared. They think it means something bad. They think it means just something negative. But this card is so necessary to transform. This represents the stage of transformation. Because before you transform, before you become who you need to become in this lifetime, you have to die. You have to basically leave everything behind. You have to reset who you are. Everything you learned, you have to unlearn it. Everything you've been doing wrong, toxic behaviors, toxic relationships, toxic environments, and all these conditions and this conditioning that you've been making yourself believe about yourself, about who you are, has to die. And this is what this card represents. So every time you get this card, it means that it's time for you to die so you can be reborn again, just like the phoenix. The phoenix, when it dies, because it burns, because it comes from fire, it burns, it turns into ashes, and then it's reborn from the ashes again. So this stage is very important, and many people want to transform, and they want to become the greatest version of themselves, and they want to reach their highest potential and connect to their higher self and talk to spirits and demons and connect to the underworld and do supernatural things and manifest abundance in their life and create the life that they want. Yet, they're not ready to transform. They're not ready to die. They want these things, but when you tell them, well, sure, you want this, you need to let go of this person. You need to let go of this friend. You need to let go of this relationship. You need to let go of these thoughts or these dogmas that you believe in order to transform. No, they're like, no. Why should I transform? This is the stuff that I've been doing since I was a kid, since I was a teenager. Why should I now let it go or transform? This is how life is. Well, let me tell you, if that's how you think, then nothing's gonna change. To transform, and I'm gonna address this in another video about the alchemical stages that are necessary for transformation, you have to first die. Because there's another stage that's connected to death, and it's the dissolution stage. Dissolution, where alchemists used to take the metal and put it onto super high heat until it burns completely to ashes. And then they take it and they put it into other stages, and one of them is distillation, and other stages that makes the ashes become this beautiful rock, which is the last stage, the coagulation stage. But these stages, I'm gonna address them in another video with details. But the dissolution stage represents the death. It represents when you completely burn until you become ashes. So everything that you think you are disappears. And then you don't know who you are anymore. And that's the hardest part of this stage, is when you get to that point where you don't know who you are, you don't know what you're doing here, you don't know why you're here, but that's the starting point. And then from there, you can start this quest and venture into seeking and finding out who you really are. Because this transformation, if for the people who are ready for it, some people are not ready for it, but for the people who are ready for it, and I'm sure you're the one here watching this video because nothing is random. That means this video is for the people who are ready to transform. People who are ready to transform, there's two things. It's either you're going to induce that transformation by yourself, or what I mean by that is you're going to induce the death by yourself. You're going to have to cause the death of the old self by yourself. And if you don't by yourself and you're so scared, which what happens to most people, but you still are ready to transform, then the universe is going to hit you with something in your life, traumatic, something that's going to force you to transform one way or another, because you're not going to have a choice. It's going to give you something usually painful, usually hurtful. Usually it's going to cause you a trauma in your life, and it's going to be bad. It's not a pleasant thing. And it has to do either with your health, with your body, with your surroundings, with your life. Something's going to happen. And it's going to be so painful and traumatic. And you will realize that you have no choice but to let go of the old self. You have to die so you can transform and be reborn again into that beautiful butterfly that you're supposed to be. But this video here is telling you that if you don't want that to happen, there's another way, which is you induce the death by yourself. And this is the hardest part, because no one wants to do that. No one wants to kill who they are. And again, I mean this metaphorically, I don't mean kill, I'm sure you all know what I mean. And that's why in alchemy, that is usually represented by the symbol called the Ouroboros, or the dragon or salamander biting its own tail. The dragon or salamander biting its own tail, it means that salamander or the dragon has to induce pain to its own body, and it has to bite the tail, bite its own body, to cause pain, to cause death. And once it bites off that tail, which is hurtful by itself, the tail is going to regenerate, because salamanders, they regenerate their tail. The tail is going to regenerate and grow stronger and better. And that's the metaphor for that sigil that you see in alchemy. So to induce that death to yourself, one way to do it is to just leave everything behind. And sometimes it's everything. Your job, your career, your friends, your country, your family. Just your thoughts, your dogmas, the religions you believe in, spirituality you believe in, everything you believe in. But then you have to be ready for it. You have to be ready. And sometimes you're not going to be ready. You will never be ready. Sometimes you just go and do it. You just have to do it. And you do feel scared probably, because it feels scary because you're going to the unknown. At some point you just don't know what you are anymore. You don't know what you are. But then that feeling is going to kickstart. It's going to kickstart the real you, that core, that essence of who you are deep inside. It's going to force it to be reborn from that confusion and that pain of not knowing what's going on. So this is not for the faint-hearted. This is only for the courageous, only for the strong. But that's the only way transformation happens. If you don't go either this way or the other one I mentioned earlier, you're not going to transform. You're going to stay the same way you are. And if that's okay with you, it's fine. But I'm sure this video is for the people who are ready to transform. This is the card that represents that stage. And it's an amazing card. If you get in your readings, that's what it means. The death card. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.